I'm Steve Wiltfong, and tonight we have the number one offensive tackle in the 247 Sports recruiting rankings, Brandon Baker out of Powerhouse Mater Dei in Santa Ana, California. One of the first players to emerge nationally in this 2024 class, a process that goes back to his freshman year. Baker had offers from every prominent college football program from coast to coast before narrowing his choices to Florida State, Nebraska, Ohio State, Oregon, and Texas. The 6'5", 290-pound Baker and his 80-inch plus wingspan has played against some of the best high school football competition in the country. He's a national champion. He's battle tested. He has terrific length, good feet. He can bend, he can run, and he can change direction. It's easy to see why he's so coveted. And now we find out where he will play on the next level. But before we bring in Brandon, let's bring in the reporter that's covered him the closest, 247 Sports national analyst and the voice of Los Angeles area high school football, Greg Biggins. Greg, good evening.
Hey, Steve, how you doing?
Doing well, man. Doing well. You've obviously been covering Brandon Baker since his freshman year. What do you love about this prospect?
Yeah, I mean, shoot, you kind of stole my thunder. All those things that you said are what I like about him. You know, kind of ironic story. He started off as more of a defensive lineman, had to be talked into playing offensive line. But, you know, you mentioned the frame and the 80-plus wing, which we always talk about. But length is huge right now when it comes to playing tackle at the college level. He's, 6'5". He's, like you said, all of 290. He's got feet. He's got balance. He's got the necessary toughness. He's got the mean streak. He can really balance between inside or outside. I think he plays right tackle for Mater Dei right now. I think he's got left tackle feet and athleticism. I think he has guard mentality, strength, and toughness. So I think he'll take another leap when he gets to college as well. I think he can get even more strong. And once he hits a weight room, that'll only kind of enhance some of those things I want to see more of, which is, maybe a little more physicality in the run game. But no, he's the prototype. He's got everything that you want to see in a tackle. Extremely smart, extremely cerebral, and I'm excited to watch his development over the next couple of years.
Greg, what company do you put Brandon in when you start talking about some of the best offensive linemen to come from California?
He's up there. I would say he's probably a top 5 guy for me, over the last 7-8 years, and talking to some of the coaches at Mater Dei, and they said, he's one of the best they've ever had. And if you know much about Mater Dei football, I mean, they produce 3 or 4 guys on the line every single year. So you really can't find a discernible weakness in his game. And like I said, he'll take another leap forward when he gets to college. So the frame is there, the feet are there, the balance is there, the high football IQ, the toughness. He's really got everything you want to see in a next level lineman. So in terms of where I would rank him, if I were to do an all-decade team of the last 10 years, I mean, he'd probably be on that list.
Well, hang tight, Greg. We'll bring you back in after Brandon announces, but it's time to bring in the man of the hour, Brandon Baker, for his college decision. Brandon, congratulations and happy birthday.
Thank you.
There's going to be no shortage of cake, but before we start cutting those, can you please introduce us to who's sitting next to you?
You got mom and dad right here to my left and right.
Well, this is a recruiting process that dates back to your freshman year. What were the important factors you were looking for in a school and a program that got you down to one of these lucky schools?
I would say development, the family environment, and the culture at each and every program.
Well, with that, Brandon, the floor is yours to announce where you'll play your college football.
First and foremost, I'd like to thank my Lord and Savior for blessing me with these amazing talents to be able to play at a high level. Secondly, I'd like to thank all my family and friends, coaches that have helped me reach this point. I have a lot of support here now. I'd like to personally thank my Uncle Giola and Coach Holmes for help shaping me into the player I am today. Lastly, I'd like to thank all the colleges and coaches that have recruited me throughout this process. With that being said, I'd like to commit to the University of... Yeah!
247 Sports number 1 ranked offensive tackle Brandon Baker commits to Steve Sarkisian in the Texas Longhorns. Brandon, tell us what your favorite things are about the Longhorns.
I'd say the development is unmatched and the trajectory that they're on. Heading to the SEC next year, that's big boy ball. Recently just beat Bama. I could see them winning a national championship within the next 2 years.
Brandon, that looks like an awesome place, man. Where are you at tonight?
I'm at the 5th down in Anaheim with a lot of family and friends right now.
Yeah, it looks like you have a lot of support there tonight. The place went nuts for you picking Texas. How long were you feeling the Longhorns? How long were they the one to beat for you in this process?
I felt really good kind of after the official visit. I kind of just sat on it and prayed about it. Honestly, I didn't know until today. I just let Coach Flood and Coach Sarkisian know about 30 minutes ago. So it's really just on the fly kind of thing.
Yeah, talk about that moment, the real moment when you told Coach Sark and Coach Flood you'd be playing in the burnt orange.
Yeah, they're fired up. Really excited.
What, in your opinion, what makes them the guys for you and the guys to get Texas football back to the mountaintop?
Yeah, they know what it looks like. Coach Sarkisian, an offensive-minded coach, as well as Coach Flood, a coach at Alabama, coach at the Falcons, so he knows what it looks like. Coaching now guys like Kelvin Banks in the past, coach, first rounder, so he knows what it looks like and compares me to Kelvin Banks.
Well, congratulations, Brandon. Kelvin Banks starting on the offensive line for Texas right now. Perhaps you will be sooner rather than later, but I know you got some unfinished business there at Matter Day. Tell Texas fans what you will be bringing to Austin after that.
So I'll be bringing electrifying energy and excited to get this recruiting class going. Hook 'em.
Well, congrats, Brandon. Thanks for being with us at 247 Sports. Enjoy that party there at the 5th. I'm going to bring back in Greg Biggins, 247 Sports national analyst, to break this down. Greg, what do you love about this pickup for Coach Sark and company?
Yeah, well, shoot. First off, man, I feel like I'm missing out. I heard open bar, and I was jealous to be over here with you, Steve. But on a more serious note, I think, like you said, I think it's a great fit for Texas. Steve Sarkisian is a West Coast guy, and that was something that Brennan said, numerous times. Relates really well. He loved Kyle Flood, and again, he mentioned development about 3 or 4 times during his interview, and he truly believes that Coach Flood is the guy. A year ago, Steve, as you know, Oregon was the school for Brandon. Adrian Clem was a coach he was very, very close to. When Clem left for the NFL, I kind of opened the door. I kind of thought Ohio State might be the team to beat maybe about 3 or 4 months ago, but Texas rallied. Again, it was about relationships, about development. He loved it in Austin. He's got a former teammate there, Spencer Shannon, who loves it at Texas. He kind of gave him some good inside knowledge. So great pickup, great fit.
Texas up to number 15 in the 247 Sports recruiting rankings, Greg, with Brandon in the fold. And we've talked about him as a player, but obviously our viewers there getting a chance to get a feel for his personality. He talked about the energy he's going to be bringing to Austin. He looks like he's going to have some outstanding leadership traits for Coach Sarkisian and company when that time comes.
Yeah, I mean, he's a team captain at Mater Day, and, kids vote on that. And so I think that kind of tells you a lot. He's very well liked, very well respected. A guy who could have taken a few more trips in late July, decided not to. He wanted to be, there for fall practice. Mater Day plays that national schedule. So, I think he's a guy, high character guy off the field. You kind of heard him when he first came on, very devout in his faith. So a guy who will be a great rep for the University of Texas. On and off the field, great football player. And like I said, Matt, I love the fit for both him and Texas right now.
Well, Greg, you have the story right now on Horns 247, www.texas.247sports.com. Brandon Baker talking about his college decision. You also provided some analysis on what Texas is getting. And for more analysis on what Steve Sarkisian and company have coming their way, let's bring in Hank South from Horns 247. Hank, how we doing tonight? Big night for Texas.
I'm doing good. I have a question. What are the other cakes going to get eaten? The Nebraska, the Oregon cakes? I guess are they all going to get cut into, or how are they going to work that?
Well, you saw the amount of people that they had there. I think they have enough cake to go around there at that party. And certainly they're celebrating in Austin right now. Texas looking for a 3rd straight top 5 recruiting class, Hank. They're at number 15 right now, but they have the runway to get to that top 5. But before we get into that, you talk about those top 5 recruiting classes, the way Texas is recruiting the offensive line has really stood out to me. Best offensive line class in the country 2 years ago with Banks and Campbell and Hudson highlighting that. Another phenomenal class last year with a lot of those guys on the 2 and 3 deep. And now you're coming back with guys like Brandon Baker and Daniel Cruz. You're a Texas alum. Have you seen the Longhorns recruit this position like this at this level?
Not in a while. I mean, they're not just recruiting at a high level. These guys they're hitting on a high level with these 5 stars. You just mentioned Kelvin Banks Jr. and DJ Campbell. Those are 2 5-star linemen they've added in the 2 full recruiting cycles that they've had that they've been in since they've been in Austin. And both those guys are starting. Obviously Kelvin Banks is a lock to be a first rounder if he continues at his trajectory. And DJ Campbell has filled in big time for Texas in the last few weeks, especially with Cole Hudson getting injured. So, we're seeing both those guys produce early in their Texas careers. You look at Christian Jones over at right tackle, his eligibility is up after this year. And, Brandon Baker, if he comes in and does what he needs to do, he could be filling that spot, in his first year at Texas. So they're recruiting at a very high level. The Kyle Flood did it at Alabama, and now he's doing it at Texas. Texas fans have been wondering, when is that big win over Alabama going to pay off on the recruiting trail? I think we're starting to see it now with a guy like Brandon Baker.
Look, we saw it happening even before this win over Alabama. Coach Sarkisian and company recruiting at a championship level, particularly, again, quarterback recruiting. Nobody has recruited that position better. Offensive line, they are recruiting as well as any program in America on the offensive line. Same goes for running back. So much speed at wide receiver. This is going to be a potent offense for years to come. But Hank, as we kind of spin this recruiting class forward, a couple more 5 stars. Baker's the second 5-star, joining Colin Simmons, the tenacious, ferocious pass rusher from Duncanville. You got Kobe Black. We love where Texas stands there. Ryan Wingo. I'm hanging on to that crystal ball for the 5-star receiver from St. Louis. This has a chance to be a special run to the finish line.
Yeah, it certainly does. You just mentioned those 2 guys. I think you could probably put them at 1 and 2 in terms of most important targets remaining. Texas is going to have to replace some receivers after this season. And a guy like Ryan Wingo is another, just like Brandon Baker, could step in and potentially play right away if he were to pick Texas. Kobe Black, obviously that elite tier type cornerback. Texas has been getting a lot of big plays out of their secondary in the last few weeks, and Kobe Black would certainly be a welcome addition to join that fold. And then, we haven't even, we're still about 8 weeks away from flip season, I guess. We'll see, guys like Wardell Mack, guys like Corey and Gibson. I know you mentioned him recently, not to fully sleep on Texas there with his commitment to Clemson. Dominic McKinley, the 247 Sports 5-star defensive lineman committed to Texas A&M. So, if Texas keeps this run up, they're playing well on the field, they're doing what they have to do there. They can keep that going and maybe get a Big 12 title, get a playoff berth. The sky's the limit, I think, for this class. I think top 5 is very realistic.
Well, I actually call it spatula season, Hank, and names I want to talk to you about. DeAndre Carter is Brandon Baker's teammate. He's committed to Auburn. He's going to take an official visit this coming weekend. Undefeated Kansas coming to town for a big showdown. Weston Davis is another guy that Texas is going to keep trying to chip away at. Where do you think things stand with those 2?
Yeah, I'm curious to see with DeAndre Carter. Obviously he's a teammate of Brandon Baker. So he's going to have an in-house recruiter for Texas there, and we could maybe see a Texas Matter Day pipeline kind of start up. We mentioned Spencer Shannon earlier in the show. You got Jordan Davison, Marcus Harris in the 2025 class. They're going to work on DeAndre Carter, try to flip him this weekend on his official visit. So we'll see. Auburn just lost to Texas A&M. Is that going to be something he considers in his commitment? Weston Davis, I think the Aggies probably are feeling okay about where they stand with him. I know he tweeted yesterday that he's not going to visit Texas. He decided not to, but kids can change their mind in the matter of days, or maybe later in the season if he decides to end up still taking a trip. So, I believe Texas wants to take 4 offensive linemen in this class. They have 3 committed. So those are 2 guys we're going to continue to track.
Well, I think they take the right 5 if they could get if they're not turning around big, ferocious bodies at the point of attack. But the big news tonight, Hank, Brandon Baker, the number 1 offensive tackle in the 247 Sports player rankings, has committed to Texas. And for more on Brandon Baker's commitment, make sure you head over to Horns 247. That's www.texas shop.247sports.com. Thanks for tuning in here. Please hit that like and subscribe button, and you guys have a great rest of your evening.